All right, here we go again. This workshop is brought to you by Leading and Learning with Character. We established this business back in 2017. A little bit about myself. My name is Earl Morrison. My wife Penny and I have been married for 20 years. We celebrated our 20th anniversary this past summer. We have four kids. Mallory is 17, Mackenzie's 16, Max is 14, and Morgan is 5. I've been in the criminal justice slash law enforcement world for 29 years. I'm a published author, a public speaker, former police chief in Texas, and former CLEAD assistant director here in Oklahoma. So this is the right place if you signed up for Take Control of Your Mindset workshop. We're going to talk over the next hour or so about what that means. We're going to talk about some struggles. We're going to talk about some things that we can do to be better and to get better. And hopefully you get something out of this. So when we talk about taking control of our mindset, many of us don't realize how much our attitude plays into our overall mindset. We get so caught up into the day-to-day stuff that we forget to cultivate or maintain that right positive attitude. We also don't consider or we forget the need for mentors. Okay. We think sometimes that we've got it all figured out. We've done something the same way for so long. We think that it's the right way. We don't think about that in a negative light. As I've learned lessons throughout my career, I realize the need to develop, maintain, and cultivate a positive mindset so that my attitude is positive in all my interactions. One of the biggest things that I learned was that, I worked in the prison system for 6 years. And when I worked in there, I didn't realize how much I was taking on that mindset and that attitude of negativity. I didn't realize it until I'd actually gotten out of there, got another job, and then people actually started to talk to me about it. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But it's one of those things where, I realized that I needed something to cultivate a positive mindset and to help me build and create and maintain a positive attitude. So I produced Change Your Mindset, Change Your Attitude, okay, and the mentor mindset for any individual or an organization. If you really want to understand and grow a positive mindset and culture and or increase your efficiency when interacting with each other and other people in general, then take control of your mindset is the right place to be. And looking into either class or both, when you talk about change your mindset, change your attitude, or the mentor mindset. Okay. Now, here are the topics that we're going to briefly go through over our time in this workshop. We're going to talk about learning from your mistakes. We're going to talk about self-reflection. We're going to talk about your attitude, and it's your responsibility. It's not someone else's. Okay. We're going to talk about dealing with difficult people. We're going to talk about controlling your reactions. We're talking about never giving up. We're talking about building a strong foundation. We're talking about accountability, and we're going to talk about mentoring, mentoring for life, and why that's so important. Learning from your mistakes. Now, this is one of those that for me was kind of hard. Okay. It's probably something that a lot of us have struggled with is that, we know we make them, but sometimes we get so caught up into defending our actions and our thoughts and some of those things sometimes, that at the end of the day, we really end up defending our mistakes instead of learning something and being able to grow from whatever that mistake was. The biggest thing is that you have to admit your mistakes in order to grow from them. Without a doubt, if you don't, and if you haven't already, you need to learn too. But if you can't admit your mistakes, you're not going to grow and learn from them. The problem is it's not just a work issue. This is probably also rampant within our personal lives as well. Therefore, that could be an area where we're reluctant to admit that we could be wrong, mistaken, or even confused or frustrated. Okay? All those things can happen. Okay? And it's difficult sometimes when you're looking at those things to be able to uh, accept that. And at the end of the day, we might have to admit that we're not as good as we think we are. And for a lot of us, we don't want to go there. That's not what we want to do. So what does that mean? That sometimes we need self-reflection. And for me, the thing with self-reflection is that it's that time to just take a minute. It's that time to process how you're doing with something. It's that time to really look in the mirror and say, am I doing things the way that I should be? Am I who I want to be? Am I portraying this the right way? Okay, because those are key things that we have to look at when we're talking about the self-reflection side of things. Okay, we have to be able to take that good hard look at ourselves to be able to understand, are we doing this the way we should be? What does that mean? Again, like I said, for me, it's taking time, usually daily, to look within and evaluate who I am. Now, depending on the things that I'm having to deal with, the challenges that arise, sometimes I have to do that more than once a day. Sometimes I have to do that every time I'm dealing with a situation. Every time I turn around, I'm having to deal with that. If somebody said self-reflection is hard, yeah, it is hard. It's one of those things that it's hard to take that look at yourself and to really evaluate to see how well you're doing. That's not an easy thing to do. Okay? But it's one of those things that if we want to get to where we need to, if we actually want to take control of our mindset, okay, if we want to take control of that and produce a good positive attitude, we have to do the self-reflection. What I've learned through my years of leadership experience, if I can self-reflect at least daily, and like I said, sometimes several times a day, then I'm better prepared to lead others as well as myself. Okay? Big news flash here. We must learn to lead ourselves way before we can lead others. That's the whole reason we talk about self-reflection in some of this. Okay. Because if we can't look at ourselves and understand who we are, if we can't look at ourselves and say, you know what, that's not who I want to be. Or maybe it is. Maybe you can look at yourself and say, hey, you know what, I'm doing that well. But the reality of it is that if we can't lead ourselves, we're not fully equipped to lead other people. Okay? Because if I can teach and train myself to self-reflect, then I am leading my own growth and development. Okay. Then if I add in people of character and mentors to help me do that, okay, I'm allowing them to help me keep moving forward with growing myself as a leader. In a sense, if you want to look at it this way, okay, I'm teaching myself to be better and guiding myself through the process. If you just boil it all down, this is leadership in its rawest form. That's all this is that you're looking at yourself and saying, I have to be better. Here's how I can do that. Because if I'm going to be a person of influence, if other people are going to be watching me, if other people are going to be looking at me, then I have to be the best that I possibly can be because I'm setting the example for them. Okay? And the reality is, if we just took that simple approach and said that, you know what, leadership before you lead anybody else, you got to lead yourself the right way. Without self-reflection, it makes it much harder to learn from your mistakes and to grow your leadership. The next topic is your attitude, your responsibility. This is one of my favorites because it's the one that I feel like in all of my leadership and then when I'm teaching classes and even when I'm mentoring other people, this is one of those that I deal with a lot. And part of that is because we have this propensity to blame our attitude and our actions and the way we respond on anything and everything or anyone and everyone other than ourselves. We use it as an excuse to act a certain way. Okay. And when it comes right down to it, the reality of it is this: your attitude is your responsibility. You and only you can set the tone for your attitude. It's your choice how you go through each situation. Here's some examples. Maybe you encounter somebody you don't like. It just makes your blood boil. Okay. How you react to that is your choice. How you allow that person or that situation to get under your skin is your choice. Maybe you're greeted by your boss who really doesn't appreciate you. Maybe that is your trigger. Okay. What if you get attacked because of a decision you made? What if somebody doesn't like a decision that you had to make? And that can be at home too. You can make decisions that your kids don't like, that your spouse doesn't like, that your relatives doesn't like. Okay? It could even feel personal because you don't get along with the individual that attacked you or that you encountered. What if you or someone else got up on the wrong side of the bed? Okay, now here's where I'm going to caution everybody. And I usually say this when I'm teaching classes is that when we think about examples, usually we can have somebody or a group of people that pops in our head. And what I'm going to tell you is if you don't have anybody that's popping into your head right now, it's probably you. You have probably popped in someone else's head when they're thinking about that person that acts this way or that person that perpetually gets up on the wrong side of the bed. When you think about that, the way you deal with these things, it's all just a choice. Okay, the problem is that we've gotten so accustomed to making bad choices when it comes to our attitude. And then it's everyone and everybody, everything else's fault, not mine. And the reality of it is, it's your choice. Now, the other thing we're going to do is you're going to deal with difficult people. Okay? I don't care what business you're in. I don't care what group you're part of. I don't care what entity you think is here or there or whatever. You are going to deal with difficult people. And how do we do that? One of the things that I always caution the people that I work with was this, let's make sure that we're not the difficult people that someone else is dealing with. That's part of the equation that can make us better when we're actually dealing with others. We're interacting, we're trying to communicate, we're trying to problem solve, whatever that may be. When we're looking at those things, okay, dealing with people, okay, we've got to make sure that we are not the difficult people. No matter how good you are, and interacting with others. We're always going to deal with difficult people. I really don't care what business you're in. Some of the most positive entities out there still have to deal with difficult people. Now, what makes people difficult? And there's a number of things, okay? There's some people that naturally are just difficult to understand, and sometimes they're often misunderstood. There could be that poor exchange of information. Maybe that's in the past or maybe it's in the present, but for some reason, the information didn't get out the way that it should or received the way that it should. Or maybe it was just messed up in the first place. What about that purpose person that just perpetually has a bad attitude and they act like they don't care and they blame it on everybody else? What that person that's got bad or just poor communication, the way that it's transmitted or conveyed, they don't care. They don't really care if you get it or not. And then there's past and present experiences. Maybe the last person that somebody dealt with didn't do that very well. And now you have to deal with those things. You know, in some of the places I've worked, we call that dealing with the sins of our forefathers. Okay. We've all had to deal with that. That we people get so caught up in on things from the past that they never let a group, they never let an organization, they never let a person move forward because of those past experiences. And then there's that toxic environment or influence that just makes people difficult. Then there's the perception of the organization. And if it's a bad perception, people are going to automatically try to challenge anything and everything that you think, say, and do. And then the other thing there is the current problem. What are we dealing with at the time? There's lack of planning because in the grand scheme of it, okay, sometimes we don't plan for issues and things that come up. And then there's the urgency of the situation. Hey, folks, when we're having our worst moment, we want somebody to help to take care of it. We don't want to have to deal with somebody that's being difficult. And the reality of it is, if I want help, I shouldn't be being difficult. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list. You probably got some things you can add in there. It's okay. But we're just trying to understand what makes people difficult. Because the better we can understand that, the better we can help them problem solve when we actually have to interact with them. Our next topic is control your reactions. Man, is that so key as a leader of people. Okay, because folks are watching you. Okay, how you go is how they go. And now I know we all deal with different situations. We all have different challenges. That's both people and things that are happening. We all have things in our life that challenge us to control our reactions and our emotions. How you react to a situation is how those under you and around you will react. I can tell you that folks are watching you if you're in a supervisory position, if you're in a head of a household position, if you're the head of a group, if you're leading anybody in an organization, people are watching you. Okay. They want to see how you react. One, so they know how to react. Two, they want to know that everything's going to be okay. And if you're that person that's called to make it okay, you have to be very careful what emotions you exhibit. Now, I'm not telling you to be emotionless. I'm not telling you to have no feelings. Not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that as a leader, you've got to be careful. Okay. Somebody said they have a boss that doesn't react well. You know, if you've been in any business very long, there's some folks out there that do not react very well to situations. Many times the people that are in charge overreact. And then the other thing of that is that people underreact. Okay? It's hard. Sometimes you just want to have a day where you can do or say what you really want to without any repercussions. Yeah, that doesn't happen. Okay? You as the leader really do influence how others react to every situation. That can be a very hard lesson to learn. And hey, let's even put it any even closer to home for some of you. As a parent, your children are watching you. Now, as a parent, it's a little different sometimes than what you deal with at work. But man, you can deal with some really challenging situations where you may go through grief, you may go through anger, you may go through frustration, you may have joy and happiness and all those things from one end of the gamut to the other. Okay? And sometimes your kids don't understand that. Sometimes people looking from the outside in don't understand your emotion. Okay, and they look at it and then they think, oh, okay, well, mom or dad's upset, or my supervisor's upset, or my boss is upset, or the owner of the company, or whoever that's in this position, well, they're this way. Well, it may be okay. But the reality of this, it's okay to have those moments. But if you were that person that is supposed to hold everything together, okay, so that everyone else feeds off of you and gains their strength and their comfort and all that stuff from you. That's called being a leader. Okay. You've got to be very careful how you react. You've got to be very careful the emotions that you exhibit to them in certain lights. Now, you can give snippets. You can show them you're human. Okay. I'm not telling you to have zero emotion. Okay. Not telling you to just be this rigid person that doesn't care or show empathy or any of that's not what I'm saying. Okay. But as the leader, you've got to make sure that your reactions and your emotions doesn't send the wrong message. Okay. If you need a moment, find a place to have your moment. Okay. If you need some time to compose, then take time to compose. But don't give in when the people right there need you to be strong. Okay. Let's face it, as much as we want to react positive in every situation, we don't always achieve that goal. We're human. I get it. But the whole deal is that when folks are dealing with their worst possible moment and it's utter chaos as a leader, and the more you move up in a group or an organization, or the more you have responsibility, or the more you have influence over other people, they are looking at you for the reassurance, for the calming effect, for the it's going to be okay. We are going to get through this. That's what they need from you as the leader. I'm not saying it's easy. Okay. If you have attended any of my other classes, you attend other, I'll get into more. You'll understand more about what I know about that. Okay. Just don't have that time here tonight. Our next topic is never give up. No matter what you're going through, no matter what the challenge is, what the difficulty is, no matter who or what the issue is, the idea is that never give up. Keep moving forward. Don't allow failures, setbacks, naysayers, and difficult people to define who you are and what you stand for. They don't get to decide that for you. It goes hand in hand with not allowing others to set the tone for your attitude. Okay? I believe you and only you can define who you are and what you stand for. Not saying you don't take into consideration the things that you've learned and the examples that have been set for you and all those things. Okay. But it goes along with your character and your morals because establishing who you are is based on the criteria that you put in place and how you develop and maintain that standard. That should be plastered everywhere. Okay. Because if we just looked at that, what I'm basically saying is I'm not blaming anybody else. It's not anybody else's responsibility. Establishing who you are is based on the criteria that you put in place and how you develop and maintain that standard. You see, the issue is that in today's world, we have a problem with the standards. We used to have some pretty high standards out there about what was acceptable and what wasn't. And because we wanted to blame other people and we wanted to not let go of mistakes that people have made, we wanted to use those for us to have a certain behavior. We lowered the standards and said, this is now okay. That doesn't line up with this quote right here. And I'm going to say it one more time. Establishing who you are is based on the criteria that you put in place and how you develop and maintain that standard. You don't like things, raise your standard. You don't like who you've been or how you've been, then rise up to the standard. Don't lower it. What helps that? The next topic, building a strong foundation. Folks, if we could just understand that our starting point is our foundation, where does that come from? What goes into that? We must build a strong foundation in order to grow and understand who we are. Many of us were taught by our parents. They instilled things in us like our faith, our family values, our morals, our sense of pride. You name it, you put it in there. Okay? For some people that didn't have that positive role model as parents, okay, maybe you learned from somebody else in your life who taught you the importance of standing for what you believe. Maybe you had a good friend. Maybe you had an aunt or an uncle. Maybe you had a step parent. Maybe you just had a good friend. Okay. Whatever that is, you put that in that blank. Maybe that's where you got some of that information from. Maybe you got some of that the ingredients to build your foundation so that you could grow from there. The next thing, accountability, which goes in hand with everything that we talk about, right? Do you ever just stop and think about accountability? I mean, do you just maybe you're in an organization or maybe just as an individual, you've observed things throughout life, the things you've experienced. Maybe just sit back and say, I wish someone would hold those people accountable for their actions. Now, we got to be real careful here, right? Because in some of these times, I think we forget we get a little bit judgmental. Okay. But you have those conversations in your head, or maybe you even have them with somebody else out loud. And you say the things that those people do are bad and nobody seems to care. And you think, how do they get away with it? Now, I know people have had that conversation. I've had that conversation. I don't know how many times. Because in a lot of things that I do, accountability is part of what my job is to bring that to a group, to people, to an organization. It may be yours. Okay. So what happens when you become the person that needs to be held accountable? Ah, suddenly it feels so different. I have to be accountable for what I do, say, and think. I didn't sign up for that kind of accountability. That is why accountability is always so intriguing to me because I have experienced that from people. I have experienced that. I've sat there with those people, and sometimes I just look at them like, are you kidding me? You were one of the people pushing for the accountability. And folks, let me just tell you something about accountability. It's from the top down and the bottom up. Accountability is for everyone. It's not a pick and choose method. Okay. It's not a flow chart system. Those of y'all that know what that is, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a, oh, hey, if it's this and this, it goes the good direction. Nothing's going to happen. Oh, but if it's this and this, it goes the opposite direction and there's nothing good in that direction. It can't be that way. And then we talk about mentoring. The reason why I talk about mentoring is that what I'm trying to get everybody to understand when we're looking at trying to create and maintain and then set an example with that positive mindset and attitude is that we can't do it by ourselves. Okay. We've got to find those people that will help hold us accountable, hold us to that standard, and not let us deviate from that. Now, these aren't the people that just want to criticize us. There's plenty of those people out there. These are the people that want to help us be a better version of us, the best that we can be. You should surround yourself with positive people that will mentor, guide, motivate, and hold you accountable to do things honorably. Hey, this is not those people that just are going to tell you what you want to hear. They're not going to just tell you how great you are all the time. These are people that are going to actually help you be better. They're going to hold you accountable. Okay? Why mentoring? Well, I believe it's key to growing and developing each person into the leader that we want them to be and or the leader they want to become. One of the things for me is that, I really got passionate about mentoring about 15 years ago when I was first looking at my thesis for a master's degree. I wanted something that would benefit the police department where I work as well as myself. And one of the things that we came up with was a mentoring program. And we developed a new hire mentoring program that later evolved into an additional promotional program for any sergeant, lieutenant, anybody that wanted to be promoted. Okay. The thing there is that by definition, mentoring is the act of teaching, training, coaching, or development by a trusted advisor or counselor. Some of you may have a field training program. This is very similar to that. This is a spin-off from a field training program or an onboarding program that some of you may have. The reason why it's so important, okay, is that those programs and mentoring someone automatically shows value to that person. We value you for joining the organization. We want you to stay, so we're going to teach you, train you, coach you along the way because we want to retain you. And oh, hey, here's another one. We want to build a succession plan so that we can prepare those people that are coming up behind us to take over for us. If you look at any of those teaching, training, coaching, or development by that trusted mentor, if you break each down of those, they're all similar, but different in their own unique way. Just like your understanding of mentoring may be. Everybody's may be a little bit different. Okay. I believe there's more to it. It's about building relationships and partnership with others to grow and develop as people and leaders. That's what mentoring is about. It's allowing others to hold us accountable for our actions, our growth, and our development to be better, positive leaders and people. And it translates into being a better person with the help of trusted advisors. Folks, why would you not want that in your group, your organization, your family, your life? Is that you're teaching people, you're acclimating them to who you are and what you're about. You're showing them value when they walk in the door. You want to keep them there, you continue to show them value. You actually grow their value by mentoring and teaching them. And then you build a succession plan in there because you want them to be ready when you or someone else walks away. Folks, if we're not looking at our organizations that way, if we're not using mentoring to recruit, retain, and build succession planning, we're missing a great opportunity. Why on earth? And I know some people get mad when I say this, but it's okay. I'm all right with that. Why on earth would you, as someone who's been part of your organization or your group for a long time, why would you not want to show value to anybody that wants to join you? And then why would you not want to help them leave a legacy, building your legacy better by teaching them the things that they need to be better themselves to make your organization better? Why would you not be teaching them to make that way? Why would you not be helping them make that organization better than how you found it? If we're not, we're missing a great opportunity. Some other things to help understanding mentoring. A trusted counselor, advisor, someone you allow to be part of your life and give you feedback as needed. Again, they're not telling you what you want to hear all the time. They're telling you the things that you need to hear. Let's think about this. None of us begin our jobs, families, or relationships where we are currently. We had to train to be better at whatever it was that we wanted to be good at. We had to put the blood, sweat, and tears into some of those things. Okay. The reality is the concept of development shows a desire to build a lasting relationship, partnership, while helping develop leadership, job skills, life skills, communication, understanding, and trust. That's what mentoring does. Now think about that. If you did that for your group, your family, your organization, you're showing value. You're gonna the concept of developing other people to make the place even better after you leave, to put it in their hands and say, one of the things that I like to be able to say is that if I leave an organization, I want to be able to say I left it in better shape than when I found it. And if we're not striving to do that, we're missing an opportunity. And I promise you, mentoring gives you a great opportunity to build that for your organization and for you as an individual. So with this workshop, there's two classes that I developed basically. Change your mindset, change your attitude. In those, and I also provide you the learning objectives. So if you need continuing education, if you need credit for attending classes and getting your hours, these will do that because I provide those. I give you your certificate. You have to give me feedback. So we can do that. Change your mindset, change your attitude. In it, we learn from our mistakes. We talk about self-reflection, your attitude, your responsibility. We talk about dealing with difficult people, controlling your reactions, and never giving up. In the mentor mindset, talk about building a strong foundation. Talk about learning from our mistakes. We talk about self-reflection, accountability, mentoring for life, and never giving up. There's several topics that are in both. Okay. The change your mindset, change your attitude is kind of the beginning thing of getting to where you know that you've established that positive mindset. You know how to do that. The mentor mindset is taking that a little further, that now I can develop this mentor mindset because I have kind of figured some things out. I want to be able to help somebody else. I want to be able to help them get through some of the things that I've had to get through. Okay? And the more that I can teach and learn and understand these things, the easier that can be. Our attitude issues are not just work issues. It's probably also rampant within our own personal lives as well. Okay. Sometimes we get so negative, no one wants to even tell us. I mentioned before when I worked at the prison, man, nobody told me. They waited till I got out of there and I had, I guess, started having a better attitude and mindset. And then they said, "Oh man, that's great. You don't believe." And I'm thinking, you just left me alone. You didn't tell me. You didn't try to help me make it better. And that's one of the things that we must do with everybody, right? We've got to let them know. We've got to do that the right way, but we've got to be able to do that. And one of the things for me, the best way to do that is if I can show them the example. The example would be me making changes. Okay. And then because it creates that, it could be an area where we're reluctant to admit that we need help, since our attitude affects everything that we think, say, or do. We don't want to admit we need help. Again, we might have to admit we're not as good as we think we are. No one likes that. Okay? We might have to admit we need help to attain and maintain a positive mindset, to reset ourselves and our attitude. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the biggest thing is that the first step is realizing that you need help. The first step is realizing that your attitude and your mindset is not where it needs to be. And then you start putting things in place where you can say, okay, I haven't done this the best way that I should. So I need to be intentional. I need to be in discipline to make a positive change. So with that, what are the next steps to take control of your mindset? I'm going to show you some things that we have, and then I don't want you to miss out. I'm going to show you a little love at the end of it. So just bear with it for just a couple more minutes. We're almost done. We got two classes, the mentor mindset and change your mindset, change your attitude. Those are the ones we talked about. We went briefly through each topic in both courses. They're both 6-hour courses. In those courses, there's questions that are there for you to answer. There's feedback between you and me. Uh, there's a summary at the end of each topic. There's a summary at the end of the module that you have to interact with me on before you finish it. So it's very informative, gives you some takeaways, give you some action items. All right, here's our classes. Here's the cost. Okay. Remember I talked about some love. I'm going to show you some love for you attending this workshop. There it is. Okay. We had a generous donation from person that wanted to remain anonymous, so we allowed that. Are you ready to invest in the next step? Are you ready to take control of your mindset? Now, I'm not done showing you love, so just bear with me just a couple more minutes. So we're going to have this link available. It should be in the chat. Okay, how to sign up. If anybody out there missed tonight, if you signed up and you missed it, we'll send you that information. But here's the other thing, anybody that's listening to this, you are able to share this information. They can get the love too through the weekend. Okay, at 11:59:59 Sunday night, when it rolls over into Monday morning, okay, it goes away. But until then, you can share this with anybody that you think can benefit from it. Okay. You can pass it along, but I'm just telling you, don't miss out on this opportunity. Take some time to invest a little bit into taking control of your mindset and then helping someone else take control of their mindset. There's our contact information. You can contact me at www.earlmorrison.com. You can email me at earl@earlmorrison.com. You can check us out on Facebook at Earl Morrison Leading Learning with Character. My phone number is there. You can contact me via the phone. You can send me a text message. You can message me on Facebook. Okay. Um, if you look at the chat, it's there, but I'll tell you again, it's earlmorrison.com/mindset. Okay? If for whatever reason you missed that, send me an email. We'll try to put it in the email that we send out to you to remind you um, of the information. If you have any questions, feel free to send those to me as well. If there are none at this time, I appreciate everybody's attention and you attending. Hope to see or hear from you in the future. Thanks. Have a great evening and weekend.